Team IFBEC welcomes you to India and to Bharat Tex Connect. So, the very first question is, how are you evolving the global cotton narrative to balance the urgent demands of climate resilience with the livelihood security of smallholder farmers?
Well, first of all, thank you. It's a privilege to be back at Bharat Tex. And just by way of background, the International Cotton Advisory Committee is the only intergovernmental organization focused on the global cotton economy. And so actually helping sustainability and helping the health of the global cotton sector is what we've been doing since 1939. So we work in several ways to support the cotton sector. I think one of the most important is by providing data. We're the world's preeminent provider of data on production, trade, and those of you who are in the sector will know ICAC.org as a provider of information. But I think going back to the climate question, the really important initiative we're focused on now is a rollout of regenerative agriculture and carbon credits. And so actually on August 1st, we'll be back in India signing an agreement with CITI in India to roll out a program that will allow farmers to make money not only from cotton, but also from carbon credits. And so the vision is that increased regenerative practices could dramatically increase yields. They've been largely stagnant, so a little over 400 kilograms. But at the same time, allow farmers to get extra money from carbon payments. And so not only would they get more money, but they would get more diversification of income, which greatly reduces their risk. ICAC is also looking at other types of engagement to help sustainability. We had a panel for sustainability that just concluded its work, provided information on how to set up sustainable standards. Just a few weeks ago, our chief scientist, who's actually well known in India, Dr. Keshav Kranti, published a major article on organic agriculture and organic cotton and how to understand the different standards. So these are just a few of the efforts that ICAC is working on to basically promote the idea that cotton is a global public good. It helps farmers, it helps women in addition to just other farmers. It fights microplastics pollution, and it can help remove carbon from the air and help the planet move in a more healthy direction.
That's great, sir. The next question is, with traceability becoming the industry's new gold standard, what is the single biggest barrier to achieving true transparency from field to fiber?
Well, actually, in terms of sustainability, the biggest problem is not technology. Digital technology, having these apps, having satellites, that's actually not really the issue. The biggest issue is who pays for it. Cost. These costs are not zero. And so, unfortunately, a lot of the default has been to make the smallholder farmers pay, but they have no money. So there's sort of an equity issue, but there's also an ability to pay issue. So until you can find a way to pay farmers for all of these new types of verification and traceability, the problem will be very difficult. Or even worse, what will happen is the smallholder farmers will get frozen out because they can't comply. I'll give you an example. I used to work a lot with food security crops. So in Tanzania, there was an association that basically used to export fruits and vegetables to Europe. Then they imposed new standards. The farmers lost their market. And instead of making good money selling products to Europe, they were forced to sell products by the side of the road. So when we look at these standards, I understand the reasons and I support those. But we have to be very, very careful to be sure you don't freeze the farmers out. So in terms of solutions, I think having a market-based solution whereby people are willing to pay for sustainability is the challenge. And there's progress, but we're not quite there yet.
That's absolutely right, sir. So the final question is, as synthetic alternatives gain traction, how do you see the intrinsic value of cotton shifting in the luxury and high-performance fashion market over the next decade?
Well, I think start over again. I think the challenge is positioning cotton correctly. And so if you look at the market as a continuum from the very lowest end to the very highest end, at the very lowest end, we're not going to be competitive. And we have to stop pretending we will be. We'll never be the cheapest. It just doesn't work that way. But there's another danger that we don't want to become so exclusive that we can't compete in the low to medium range and up. So when we're thinking about where cotton should be competitive, maybe you have the extra long staple cotton, the very expensive cotton, the Pima, the Egyptian cotton, all of that competing at the very top. But they have other types of cotton competing in sort of the mid-range and up. So that's ideally where we would like to position it. At ICAC, we have several initiatives. One is focused on something called the Cotton Innovation Platform, where we're looking at new technologies to make cotton more competitive in technical uses. We're also very engaged with regulators to be sure that the regulations that pass don't disfavor cotton and other natural fibers. So when we're looking at the global cotton economy in the years ahead, I think it can be very healthy, but in some ways we really do have to write off the very cheapest products without falling into the trap of being so exclusive and high-end that 90% of our farmers can't compete anymore.
That's absolutely right, sir. Thank you so much for your perspective. That's 5 minutes and 3 questions from Team IFBEC. Thank you so much.
Thank you.